Hello and welcome to the 9th video in my Ableton Live 10 Basics series. In this video, we're going to cover both audio tracks and MIDI tracks. Before we begin, just a quick reminder to leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button. This will help me continue to bring valuable content to awesome viewers like you. So we're just going to start off with audio tracks. Audio tracks are used whenever you plan to use any recorded or sampled material for your song. You will also want to use an audio track if you plan to record a vocal or a live instrument, because with a MIDI track you cannot record any incoming audio from a microphone. Let's cover a couple scenarios where we would want to use an audio track. Scenario 1. We want to use a sample within our song. Now we can use samples on a MIDI track using a sampler, but unless it's for drums, I typically prefer to use an audio track for this. The first thing you'll want to do is hover in this section right over here, right click, and then click Insert Audio Track. And then from there, you'll want to go into your browser, scroll down to your samples, and find a sample that suits your song. Once you've found a sample you like, you simply just grab and drag it into your audio track. And it's about as simple as that. On scenario 2 would be when you want to record an incoming vocal or live instrument. So let's go ahead and create one more audio track. And assuming your input settings are correct, you should be able to arm the track we want to record and simply start recording. So we're going to hit this button right here to arm it. Then we're going to come up here and hit record. This is a recording. Yeah. This is a recording, yeah. And that about sums it up as far as using an audio track. Note that there is a lot more you can do with inside this audio editor down here, but we are going to cover that in a different video. Okay, now let's talk about MIDI tracks. In order to use a digital synth like Serum, for instance, we have to make use of MIDI. So let's go ahead and go over here and hover and click Insert MIDI Track. That's right click and then Insert MIDI Track. So when you first create a new MIDI track, there won't be any synths loaded onto it. We have to go into our plugin library and pick the synth we want and then load it in. You can do this by double clicking on the synth you want, or if you come over to your track, double click, open this little window right here. Then you can click and drag into that window. Now in order to get the synth to actually play, we have to add MIDI notes. The first thing we need to do is come down here, hover over the section where we want to add a MIDI clip, right click, and then insert MIDI clip. It will automatically open up this window, which is called the MIDI editor, or some people call it a piano roll. If you ever find yourself on a different window and you want to get back in there, all you have to do is double click on your MIDI clip. Once you're inside your MIDI clip, you just click to add in notes. You can drag these notes and move them to whatever key you want them to. You can make them longer, shorter, and you can even change things like the velocity or how hard the note is being hit, but we'll cover that in a separate video as this is mainly just for the basics. So let's just go ahead and add in a couple notes here. And when you hit play, you will hear your synth. Another way we can also add MIDI is if we have an external MIDI controller or you are using your keyboard, computer keyboard, as a MIDI controller. To record incoming MIDI signal, of course, the first thing you want to do is make sure your track is armed, because if it's not and you try to hit a key on your keyboard, it simply will not play. The next thing you'll want to do, of course, is choose your starting point and then hit record, and then it will record your incoming MIDI. Before I finish this video off, I would also like to mention that you can rename each track. So we could just call this synth, and we can call this vocal, and you can also recolor each track. So let's just make the vocals a purple color and the synth a green color. Now, if you also want your clips to be the same color as what the track is, then you right click, come down here and click Assign Track Color to Clips. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you back for the next one. Until then, take care and have an amazing day.